Hello, Leo. Good morning, good evening, good day. Good to see everybody today. And I'm really looking forward to talking about all of the messages that have been coming through for you today and giving you what you need to have a great month ahead. Thanks so much for joining me. A couple quick notes here, just as I get getting started here. My name is Nicholas Ashbaugh. We'll be looking at Leo. My forecasts are designed so that you can look at them for sun, rising moon, Venus, really any aspect of your chart that you know. And I do them in advance so that you have 6 to 8 weeks to plan for what we're looking at. So rather than kind of reading it right in the midst of everything happening, I'm giving you a heads up and you can enact all of your free will to make the best choices available to you. So the beginning portion of this is going to be channeled messages. I always start with messages that I receive in meditation, in dreams, and in free writing here before I begin. Then I move along to the Celtic Cross. I'll expand the forecast after that. Then we'll go into the soul path where we look at any sort of blessings or blocks that really require some more detail. We'll meditate, and then I answer an additional question at the end where maybe there's something that I haven't covered and you can psychically send me that. I'll pick a card and we'll see what the message is for you. So that's the basic format. And I'm so pleased that you guys have taken some time out of your schedule to join me today. I'm going to put down Apollo. Yes, buddy. We'll hang out after, I promise. All right, and let's get started here. So first of all, welcome everybody. A couple of quick notes before I get into pulling cards here. I want to just kind of first cover that I don't answer questions, live questions here, because this is general and I get into a channel state and I really need to stay in that focus state as I'm doing this. But there are different readings where I allowed for that, and channel members and Patreon members have a chance in those instances to ask questions in advance. So today is not one of those days. This is a general reading. If you'd like to show support today, one of the ways that you can do that is by clicking the super chat icon right here. It's next to the all the emojis. And it's a great way to show support. I'm using one of the newer decks today, the Prisma Visions deck, with some of the assistance that you guys have given me in Super Chat. So thank you so much. Another way that you can show support, and it requires just a couple clicks and it costs nothing, but it really helps with engagement, is to hit the thumbs up. If it's your first time here, please subscribe. You can also opt into notifications if you're new here. If you're a longtime viewer and you've never subscribed, please consider doing it. I was just taking a look at my channel the other night, and 70% of the people that look at this channel have not subscribed, which blows my mind. So know that it actually helps me quite a bit to see that you've subscribed and engage with the videos. So enough of that. I just wanted to kind of let you know. By the way, if you happen to watch this on replay, Super Chat's not available, but the applaud feature is. Okay. All right, let's talk about your messages for this month. Again, we'll be looking at June, but for those of you watching here in May, a lot of what I'm going to be talking about right now will be valid. And then you can always come back and look at this video again next month as you start to get a little closer to what we're focusing on here. So, all right, let me talk about your totem today. The totem was an alligator, and alligators are fascinating because they're a little scary, but they actually have some really cool attributes, which we'll talk about here in just a second. So there you go. There's an alligator. It's kind of in the same kingdom or sort of general species as crocodiles, but alligators here tend to be more in North America, and probably why that particular symbol came to me, just because it was a little bit more familiar. So let's talk about the alligator. Sorry about that. We'll talk about the alligator and see what the messages are for you. Okay, so with this spirit totem, it's hard not to pay attention to its teeth, to its mouth, and we'll talk about that more in a second. But when I look at the animal in general, it's really big, it's really bold. So for many of you, I think that the alligator is telling you that it's time to make a bold move, to step into your power, and to start to make things happen, right? And one of the things that's interesting about this is that it's an apex predator. I'm jumping ahead on my notes here a bit, but apex predators are at the top of their game and usually are not hunted by other animals in that sort of grouping that they're in. So, you know, what this means for you is that you're really being poised for success. And this is a chance for you to use all the tools available to you to make an impact, right? So one of the things that could hold you back this month, we'll focus first on the potential missteps, and then we're going to get into what can help you, is snapping. because you think of an alligator kind of snapping and getting its food. For you, this is really about snapping and saying something too quickly or without doing your homework, or perhaps even just kind of letting yourself be unedited. And I think sometimes it's important to really do the homework, to plan, and to have a method to whatever it is you're trying to do. Okay, so definitely you want to be putting in a little bit of thought and making sure that you don't do something too hastily. Your voice in particular and communication can pack a punch and make an impact, basically. And I think that's a good thing. So rather than kind of, oh my God, did I say that? Think, oh my goodness, yes, I'm going to say this, and it's going to have a really positive effect. So let's flip it around and use that sort of alligator energy to really get your words out there, get the communication out there, to get people to listen to you, because I feel like this is a time for your words, for your image, for you to really sort of be out there in an impactful way. But because it is an alligator, you have to be careful of timing, of audience, of the words, and the tone as well, okay? Sometimes what's cool about this is that just one person can make a difference. So like I said, packing a punch is kind of cool, because when we think of a lot of what's happened over the past couple of years, something can evolve on, for instance, social media with a hashtag. A social movement can start on social media with a hashtag. There could be something about the environment or policies that you want to see changed. And all it takes is a few people to rally behind a bigger idea and gain some traction. This is your time to move the needle forward. If you use your moment and if you use your voice in the right way, then amazing things can follow. And again, it only takes one voice, one person, but it usually does take one person to stand up. In my head, I'm even thinking of like civil rights, like Rosa Parks. She didn't want to go to the back of the bus. And it's sort of like just one person saying, no, I'm not going to do that, right? So we can have one person that just decides enough is enough. So whatever it is for you, you could be advocating for other people. You could be deciding that, there's something in the world that upsets you, and you're the one that's going to be the one that this kind of like finally is getting. Sometimes people are just afraid to speak. So if you can get out there first and say what they need to say, then they'll rally behind you. This is kind of connecting to yesterday's conversation a bit. And I've been seeing a thread that's moving through all of them as I'm doing readings this month. So you don't have to walk alone was something that I was talking to Cancer about. And you don't have to walk this path alone either. And I was talking about the Five of Wands yesterday, about how it might be more powerful to kind of go off separately, get some people together, and then come back to the group so that they know it's not just your voice, it's a bigger sort of thing. So we're going to pull a little bit from Cancer into this reading as well, because I'm seeing a lot of commonality. This is why I do collective readings, because there's actually more that we have in common than we have separating us. And as I do all of the readings and look at all the signs, I get that nice viewpoint of being able to see the connective threads. So you're not alone. And if you can rally a few people behind you, a small group can make a big impact, and the group can get a lot bigger from that. Okay. Let's move on to the next piece here. Interesting fact. I love biology and I love zoology and things like that. I'm learning a lot as I start to work with animal totems. So I try to understand the animal a little bit so that I can relay messages and then see how it's going to fit you. So one of the fun facts with alligators is they never stop growing. They don't grow really, really, really fast, but they can get quite large. What I saw with this, though, is the idea of growth. So you may be inspired to go back to school, to teach, to expand your knowledge in some way. It doesn't always mean that you have to go to school. It can also mean that you're deciding to challenge yourself in one way or another, in an existing relationship, in a job, by learning about something, but not necessarily having to go to school, just thinking, I want to get better at this. This is a good time to do that. And with the expansion energy here, it's saying it never stops. Sometimes it may be a little faster, sometimes it may be a little slower, but like the alligator, you can always grow and you can always learn more at any age, no matter how long the distance is between when you started and maybe let something go. You can always go back and continue that. Okay, so continuing education, continuing growth at all phases and stages of your life. And if you are actually in school right now, whether younger or older, don't give up. I just see things continuing. Okay, so keep pushing. The plateau some of you might be feeling isn't permanent. It's just sort of like sometimes we hit a wall and you need to maybe take some time just to rest a little bit or refocus on why you're trying to do something. And I think that you're going to be able to find momentum again. Okay. As I said earlier, it's an apex predator, a fancy word for saying it's at the top of its little food chain. And as such, you're poised to succeed. Moreover, if you failed at something before, didn't succeed at something before, try it again. The doors are opening. There might also be a different way to get it finished or completed. So look around, try to find another path to that end. And the difference between people that quote unquote fail and succeed sometimes is just perseverance. So you can get sometimes hundreds of no's, and especially if you're someone that's into like publishing, it's such a saturated market that it has to be extraordinary, or you're going to have to do it yourself, or it's just about sort of like persistence. Eventually, enough times you get to the right person. So when you're thinking about something that's difficult, whether you're trying to go to the Olympics, publish a book, get a degree, whatever it is, it takes work. So don't let one setback keep you from that dream is what I'm seeing here, okay? And this month in particular, there should be an opening that makes some part of that attainment a little bit easier for you, so attaining that goal, all right? Let's move on to the next piece. We have, I wanted to focus a little bit on, when I think of an alligator smile or the mouth of it, I was really focusing on something positive, which is, smiling is a really alchemic way to change the energy in a conversation. It has to be authentic or it becomes off-putting, it becomes a little creepy. But if it's if it's a heartfelt smile, it can really open up and endear you to someone else and vice versa. So use the power of nonverbal cues to your advantage, not just the smile, but the face in general. So like rolling of the eyes says something, squinting your eyes or shaking your head or whatever you're doing. If someone's telling you information, that can be off-putting for them, or it can be engaging if you kind of go in a little, and just really kind of connect with them. If you're only using your voice or some words, it's like 1/3, you're missing 1/3 of it, which is the nonverbal communication. So I would say it is voice, how articulate you are, how much you've planned and thought out the words, and then it's also the body language. So really connect with your audience, whether it's one person or many, and that's going to be so important. And read what they're giving you. Just like we can read cards, you can read a lot in a face. Sometimes you can tell what the person's been through, right? It sort of tells a story. But you can also definitely get in the moment feedback on how engaged they are, how much they believe you. And they can say one thing, but this can tell you something else. Trust this. This is the truth, because if you can't fake what your body language is sometimes, unless you're a spy or something like that. But an average person can't fake it, and they're giving you cues that you need to listen to, and it will help you be better just as a communicator in general, all right? Avoid making any sort of snap judgments this month as well. I do believe in the importance of your intuition. So if you meet someone and you get a bad instinct, okay, trust that. But if you are hearing things from other people, if it's just sort of like a guess, like you've never met them, and there's just this thing like, oh, I'm not going to like that person because of X, Y, Z, or they know this person, or they do this job. Give yourself a chance to actually have the face-to-face or the interaction, so that you can trust your intuition and tune in. So I would maybe edit this one a bit to say, don't make a snap judgment based solely on word of mouth. Don't make it solely based on an assumption that has no underlying kind of factual information. You want to go a little bit deeper and focus more on how you feel and what they're showing as far as a track record goes, right? Important things. This was very specific. It had to do with, I was seeing like an automobile rental in my head, but then I was looking at a contract that was automatically renewing. So it could be like a lease. It could also be any kind of contract that tends to come back. It could be something even like a streaming service or a magazine subscription. Take a look and make sure that you're not getting automatically renewed into some sort of a contract or service. This might be the time for you to look at your budget and think like, is this working? Is this not? Why am I continuing to just sort of let these things roll on and on and on and on? I just saw contracts auto-renewing, and I was questioning the validity or the necessity of that auto-renewal. Likewise, I was shown a rental. This looked like a property rental, so it could either be deciding to stay somewhere for a trip. It could also be renting an apartment, or maybe something like a condominium if you're investing in that. There was a question about this though, because it seemed to me like once I kind of saw the inside, or my guide wouldn't even let me in there. They just said, this doesn't look good. So I really feel like you can't buy something sight unseen. You need to have a chance to cancel the policy, get out of it, or the lease. There should be some sort of an out if you haven't had a chance to look at it in person, because you might be surprised. So now that in some countries, not all countries, obviously, like when we look at India, there's a lot going on there, but in different parts of the world, some restrictions are lessening. So there might be a chance for you to at least go in and look at it yourself. I think that you have to make sure you know what you're buying. Bottom line, it could be anything in particular. This could also be just other products and services. I feel like you need to know what you're getting into, okay? And make sure that the lease, the clause, or the contract isn't excessive. So multiple years at a time, or like there's no getting out of it, or you're responsible for a lot of money if you do. There should be a reasonable way to maybe even a period of time, 10 or 15 days or something like that, to change your mind, okay? If not, it feels like someone's trying to entrap you in something that you don't need to be pulled into, all right? If it seems too good to be true, no matter what it is that you're buying, it probably is. So sometimes you get what you pay for. Sometimes you just have that sort of spider sense that something's wrong, and it probably is in this particular situation. So ask the tough questions, get a contract that you agree to, make sure that you see something before you buy it. The other piece here, and this is much more general, but it still has to do sort of about, for those of you that might be looking at houses and things like that, I looked at preventative maintenance as something that you want to focus on, but I think you could actually expand this to all aspects of your house. So not just your house or your car, but it could also be health and finances. Are you doing what's necessary to make sure that everything's getting tuned up? So with your health, that you're, especially if you haven't been to the doctor in like a year or a year and a half, it's time to go in and get your teeth cleaned, to get a physical, to make sure everything's okay. And in your house, if the roof hasn't been repaired in a while, make sure that that's getting repaired. I saw water damage in yesterday's reading. And when I saw the car rental today, it might mean that there's something in your car that just needs a tune-up. Just make sure that you're not pushing it too far so that you're going to need a rental, for instance. Preventative maintenance, a little work now saves a lot of work later. Let's go on to the next point here. I saw something that looked like an old neighbor or old friend. It didn't feel romantic to me. It felt familiar. So it could be family, could be friends. Very much kind of like Six of Cups energy. It was a reunion for sure. And what I felt like this person was re-entering your life with a purpose, or for a specific reason. It felt like you were going to clear out some old karma. And maybe this is a chance for you to say something that wasn't said before. That could be, I'm sorry, or you hurt my feelings, or why haven't we talked, or anything, to just sort of like get some clarity. Once you have the clarity, then you kind of have to make a decision. How do I feel about this person now? You always get a choice whether you want to put more energy into that, or maybe to move on and reinvest in other parts of your life. Because sometimes we just need that final moment where it's like, oh, why did I have a crush on this person? We have nothing in common. Or, why was I so angry? Look at what they're going through. I didn't realize there were these difficult things in their life. I feel like it gives you closure. So if you need closure, you can also reach out. You don't have to wait for this to come to you, because you are basically creating your own destiny here. So why not be the agent of change if you need to? Okay. Next piece here. This was really interesting. So I was shown walking and footsteps, and a big footstep in particular, and I'll talk about that in a second, but I want to talk about the walking first. So if you are in a position of leadership or authority, not only do you want to sort of use that language, as we talked about, to be really inspirational, but you also want to follow through and sort of walk the walk. So talk the talk and walk the walk. If there are people in your life that tend to just be talkers, but not so much doers, what I was picking up on here is that it's time to start to see some accountability there and to see that follow through. The other thing is, if someone's really good at talking and negotiating, don't allow them to talk you in or out of doing something that you know that you need to do. So again, so if you want to walk away from something they're trying to get you to stay, you still need to walk away from it. If you know you need to change something and they don't want you to do that, you still need to do that. So trust yourself and don't let someone kind of put you into a into a trance with their wonderful communication style. I think it's important to go inward, trust your heart, trust your third eye, and see beyond what's kind of right in front of you. There's some other layers, but also track history is going to play an important part here. So if someone consistently says one thing but does another, it's the does another part that you want to focus on. So their actions speak louder than their words. Now for the fun part, and this is kind of what we're going to close on with the channel portion, and then we'll get into the cards. So I saw this gigantic footstep, and you were stepping into it. It looked like several times bigger than you. There was a sense of empowerment as you stepped into this big footstep. In my head, I woke up and it was like in the steps of giants is kind of what I got in my head. It was like you were stepping into this giant footstep, and you want to make sure that you don't want something to hold you back. Is basically what I wrote here. It's a big growth opportunity on the horizon, so don't let a fear of not being ready hold you back from doing what you need to do. This is your moment to go for it. Yes, there's growth that's going to happen, but you have the requisite building blocks. You have the tools, you have the understanding of how to make it happen. So all you got to do is take the first step, and then you're going to grow and eventually, just like the alligator, be in energy and in mind big enough to step into this and really embrace the opportunity that's in front of you, okay? So yeah, some good stuff ahead of you. Just a quick little mini review, and then we're going to get into the Celtic Cross. So you had an alligator. It's time to be bold, to make big moves. We talked about one of those big moves may mean getting out of your comfort zone. Your voice and communication are so important. It only takes one person to make a movement, believe it or not. I cited a couple of examples there. And for you, I think that if you want to do it with someone, that's fine, but get started on making that change happen. As an apex predator, AKA being at the top of its game, you are ready to succeed just like the alligator is. You might want to help other people who are less fortunate if you're at the end of your career or if you're retired. This can be about giving back. And if you're in the middle of your career or if you're going to school, this is really about feeling like I can do this. Nothing's going to stop my path here, right? A smile can make a big difference. It has to be heartfelt, but if you really do feel it, it's so much easier to connect with someone that's pleasant and engaged than someone that's looking at their phone or disinterested. So pay attention to how you're coming off to someone else. That's going to be really important. Practice what you're going to say as well. Getting feedback on your communication skills is going to be really helpful. Contracts are essential. You got to look at those fine details to make sure that you don't get stuck in something that auto-renews. This is really important for those of you that might be a budding actor, actress, or performer. Sometimes these clauses contractually bind you for a long time to keep coming back, and you want to make sure that you're okay with that. And I saw a reunion and a chance to clear karma, possibly reconnect, but it felt more like a clearing and some closure. And then actions have to align with words. So look at that with other people, because this can kind of be a reveal of a Seven of Wands for some of you. And you don't want that to have, not a Seven of Wands, it's Seven of Swords. Seven of Wands would be being pushy, but Seven of Swords is about like saying one thing and doing another. So you want to really be sure that that's not happening. And if someone's doing that in your life, it's time to hold them accountable and let them know that you see what they're doing, right? So let's move along into the Celtic Cross, and we're going to take a look at all of the energy for the month ahead. I allow this to take on whatever form it wants to. A lot of readers will focus solely on your person. We look at the relationship part of it when I expand the forecast. So let's, sorry, the cards just flew off. Let's just see what the cards have to say after I pick them up off the floor. And, and then we're going to, let's give it a nice natural shuffle, right? It's funny. All right, universe. Mother Nature wanted us to have more of a shuffle. All right. Spirit is with us today. Again, this is for the month of June. We're reading in May. I design all of my forecasts so that they have a 6 to 8 week period where you can look at them, all right? Some of my collective readings, by the way, I'm going to have a few collectives. I'll put the times and the links up a little bit later, but some of the collectives can actually be like half a year. So anyway, let's see what's coming through for you. This is a really interesting Six of Wands. It tripped me up once before. It looks like Six of Swords, but it's Six of Wands. Yeah, whenever I see cards fly off like that, it's actually just a sign that there's a lot of energy, and it was a chance for the universe to kind of give it an extra shuffle. So trust me, the cards flew everywhere. So the way that they landed here today is exactly where they need to be. Just means we got a lot to talk about. And you picked a good day to join. I get a lot of questions about the cards. I use so many, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'm not going to go through 6 different decks. You can go to my website and all the cards are listed there. This deck I need to list. I'll do that this week. So I just don't want it to be a nonstop commercial for different deck creators. We're really here for the messages. So maybe in the future, I'll just list everything in the comments, or not the comments, but the description, but not today. All right, so let's move into the messages here. I like to start off with the Catalyst card. The Catalyst is a way for us to connect to the highest possible energy and to avoid getting distracted. So we have a Traveler card, and it says move in a new direction, which is exactly what the crocodile totem was bringing through for you. I said bold moves, big moves, movement in general is part of this. Crocodiles, I'm not crocodile, but alligators. Alligators don't move really, really fast. I was looking at some videos of them. They're kind of like, unless they're in the water, but on land, sometimes they're a little bit clumsy. I think they can speed up if they need to, but the key here is that it's not about the speed or the grace, it's about the actual movement. And what I did like about them is that they can swim and they can walk, and there's flexibility when you have a totem that can do a little bit of both. So the movement is key, not so much the grace. So there's going to be moments where you sometimes feel like you're just kind of trying to find your way, and that's okay. All right. The main thing for you is to figure that out. In yesterday's totem, we also had a compass rose that popped up. What was the symbol? Yeah, I keep the old ones out so that there's no repeats here, but we have the Direction Guardian. So here we actually have the Traveler. What's interesting, and the reason that I do tarot, all the signs in order, is I get a sort of story, just like the major arcana, as I kind of move through the tarot, or through the different astrological signs. So I'm seeing a connection from yesterday's to today's. I've actually seen a lot of that. This month, there is sort of this connection. So feel free to join anytime you'd like to, because there's often an overlap between the sign before or after yours. And that's what I've been seeing here. So the direction for many of you, you may have already picked. Now it's just a matter of following through, because yesterday's message was about finding a direction. Today's about following it through on that. So as I'm talking about it, I got a little sting in my solar plexus. So for some of you, this can be the connection to home or to your parent. I forgot to mention, alligators are very connected to their mothers. So sometimes the home, whether it's mom, dad, family, it can be something that kind of ties at you or tugs at you a little bit. And I'm getting some of that with this, especially since we have a divine feminine energy there. So don't let that hold you back, or maybe you can find a way to kind of include them in on this journey, this next step of your life, so it feels like you're honoring that connection as well. Okay. Let's move to your center card, We have the King of Swords, and it's reversed. This is a very appropriate card to come through reversed with an alligator totem, because this is really about speaking your truth, really saying what you need to, no holds barred, right? I like a good King of or Queen of Swords in reverse. I think we always want to be careful with this, just to make sure that you don't go too far, too fast. Less is more. So you can absolutely be to the point and direct. But I think that even like this morning, I had to type up an email and I just deleted half of it. I really just needed to say 2 sentences and then thank you. Less is more. You can take the emotional pieces out and just get to the point, get in, get out. And that's kind of what I see with this communication style here. So the King of Swords is saying, you know what you need to say, you know what you need to do. Don't mess it up. And sometimes this can be a really positive thing. Let's say that you're speaking to a mentor and you're a little bit flustered or whatever, or like not just a mentor, I would say someone that's sort of like that you really look up to, a hero, and you get a chance to talk to them. Just keep it to the point. If you have a question to ask it. If you have something to say thank you for, do it. Keep the engagement short and simple so that they remember a positive thing, and then there'll be a chance to talk again if you did a good job. So less and then slowly get towards the more. You can always say more, but you can't take back what you said. And that's what the King of Swords is teaching us today. This Six of Wands gave me a headache the first time, but I mentally remembered with this particular deck that it's a tricky card. It is so the Six of Swords, but it's not. So with this Six of Wands, there's a new message with it, which is you have to travel, you have to move in order to get the success. Because a normal Six of Wands is a person riding on a horse and people kind of looking at them, clapping, applauding, or receiving what it is that they want to give. This is the beginning portion of this. They have the 6 wands, but they're journeying out to find that destination. So it's the prequel to success, basically, is how I read it. And it's a little bit of an annoyance for me when they take one card and name it something else. But anyway, this requires a sacrifice or a release or a mourning period, because we have the success energy and then we have this interesting 6 of swords that's right on top of it that I'm not going to ignore, because if you're going to use Rider-Waite-Smith, I'm going to read that too. So we have a weird interpretation of 6 of wands. So what's holding you back? What are you having a hard time letting go of? And are you ready to take that leap of faith towards the next step of the journey? Because something great awaits you, which is what I left you with on the channeled messages. I said that you're kind of stepping into the footprint of a giant, and a big growth opportunity is right in front of you. Don't let fear hold you back. Don't let anything hold you back. This is your moment to grow and to shine, okay? Let's look at your deep past. We have the King of Pentacles. He's upright. It's really interesting because when you look at this, it's almost as if he's like if a quick glance, it almost looks like the Hanged Man. But now when you see it, he's taking the bull by the horns, quite literally. We see the pentacles right around the bull's neck there. So I get this sort of acrobatic energy with this particular King of Pentacles. And I also get the feeling that he just got tired of waiting, because there's a little bit of the Hanged Man with this as well. But he's freed himself from that. So in order for you to free yourself from something, you have to take the bull by the horns. And don't be afraid of, you're going to get carried quickly when this starts to happen. So we saw the movement in the 6 of wands. We see even more movement in the King of Pentacles. And this is one of the more active King of Pentacles cards, because usually you see someone sitting on a throne. The person that developed this deck, I kind of like that most of the kings and the queens are actually active. And so this one is as well. You might need to look at something from another angle in order to see how to make it a success, or to understand what its purpose is in your life. He's upside down. He's looking at it from another angle. He's flexible. He's acrobatic. He's trying to be sort of nimble and move with the energy. So I like all of that. And he's not afraid of competition, okay? The bull doesn't look very happy, but anyway, the king is doing just fine. So you're going to be all right. With this being in your deep past, what I see is that this is the building blocks that we talked about. You've done the homework. You have the energy. You have the raw material to make it happen. What we have in the center is taking action. And, I mentioned talking the talk and walking the walk. So these 2 kings are showing the 2 different ways to do that. This is talking and this is walking. And then the next step is kind of journeying, traveling, moving. So are you leaving a job? Are you moving to a new apartment? Are you moving in with someone? Are you moving towards the completion of something? Somehow you're moving. And if you're not moving, you're missing something this month, Leo, because it feels like that's the opportunity for you, okay? The next piece here is the Hierophant reversed. So Hierophant typically in the upright position is about predictability, structure, hierarchy, sometimes having to navigate the hierarchy, right? It can also show a stubbornness, right? But with the card reversed, it's saying, I'm thinking outside of the box. I'm not going to be constrained by old ways of thinking or doing. I'm going to look at it from a different angle. So in this particular, we actually have the bull again there, but it's upside down here. He went upside down here. So it's actually, I feel like the tug of war here is how to get someone to see it from your perspective. There's a story here between these two. It feels like this is the block for some of you. This could be a parent, a boss, or some sort of a gatekeeper. It could be an administrative assistant. And you're trying to get to someone and they don't understand who you are, why you're trying to do it, or they just don't see you. So this is about taking a little bit more of an active role and saying, no, I am going to get that appointment. No, you do need to look at this. And getting them to see it from a different angle. So the King of Pentacles is resourceful, and he's going to find a new way to get to that person, even if you've got to piggyback around that person. That might be the other piece. I've said this before, but if you're not dealing with the person that can give you the final okay or decision, you're probably working with the wrong person. That came from a boss that I learned a lot from, and that was a piece of advice that they imparted on me. Like, if that person can't say yes or no, then go to the next person up. It was a very bold boss, but I never forgot that lesson, and I've used it, and it's good advice. Okay, we have the 10 of Wands in the crowning position, graduation, getting to the next level, moving, also reaching out. So this traveling could be telepresence as well, which we're doing a lot with Zooms and what we're doing right now here with YouTube. So maybe you're going to do something like a Twitch or YouTube or Instagram live type thing where you're going to reach other people. 10 of Wands is fantastic though, because this is really about you taking everything that you've learned and just basically putting it all together and getting to the next step in your journey. Are you ready for that? I hope you are, because everything that we've seen right now is about shifting, moving, and pushing through. We have the 8 of Cups, and this is your second chance. So 6 of Cups would be the reunion that I saw. The 8 of Cups can be a second chance. They both have kind of similar energies. With the 8 of Cups, this is also the subscription stuff that I was talking about, or the auto-renewing leases and things like that. So you're in the middle of the energy of renewal. Do you want to renew or do you want to move on? You don't necessarily have to come back with the 8 of Cups. A traditional Rider-Waite-Smith would show 7 of the Cups, and the 8th one is with the person. There's like a little gap, usually, or depending on the illustration, or sometimes you might even see the 8th, but there's an extra gap. They're just indicating that there's room for more. So you have a chance right now to either step away and take a sabbatical, or a leave of absence, or time off or time away from a relationship. And it's really to figure out, who am I? What do I want? Does this serve my higher good? And you don't have to come back if it doesn't, but you can if you'd like to. This is also a kind of cracked open door. So if you are deciding to leave and you want it to be permanent, this isn't permanent. So you would want to use more of the King of Swords energy to make sure that the person or the parties involved would understand that this is it, right? Because otherwise, they're not getting the point. So I'm sure we've all had someone in our life. Sometimes it's, they may mean well, but they're not taking the hint. So the King of Swords is saying, no, let me make this clear. I'm not interested. Otherwise, that person's going to keep emailing you or keep texting you, etc. But on the bright side, if someone separated from you, or if you lost something, this is a chance to get it back. So the door is open. But if you don't want it to be open, close it. If it's open and you want to see what you can do with it, we already talked about that. There's a chance for closure. I still felt like it was just to get clarity and move on, okay? So I feel like there's a door that needs to be closed at some point, but you're not quite ready. So the 8 of Cups gives you flexibility on when and how and if to close the door. Okay. We have a Knight of Pentacles, also reversed. We actually don't see, okay, we do see the Knight. He just kind of blends in on this one. And he's riding a unicorn. Let me pull it up right. It was reversed, but we have, what I like about this is your uniqueness, your singular approach is what's going to separate you from the crowd. Don't blend in is what I see because we have the unicorn. The fact that this card is reversed is telling me that many of you are wanting to invest in yourself. You might also be taking something that you've done and you're deciding now to take a little bit of this and invest it here because this was upright, even though he looks like he's upside down. This one's reversed. So we're taking some of this stored up potential or resource and we're going to now put it into something that we need or we want. So that's a good thing, actually. It's representing yourself. So you collectively, Leo, are a little bit more focused on you. So with relationships this month, it could be a challenge because that means that sometimes when people are saying things, it flies around you or goes in one ear and out the other. So the King of Swords in the middle is saying, practice some active listening and say, wait a second, I'm sorry, I was engaged in this task. Repeat it, let's talk, and then repeat it back and say, I heard this, is this what you need? Just make sure that you're hearing things correctly because with this, what I'm getting is that there's a lot of internal work going on. And I don't want you to miss or upset someone around you because you are not listening actively enough, okay? Overall, I like it. There's nothing really negative to me with the King of Pentacles in this particular position. Just a little bit more focus on self. So try to come out of that shell occasionally and let people around you know that you care about them. Don't let something fall by the wayside. Don't let a contract or a legal thing get kind of caught up because that could be problematic. All right, let's look at what's going on in your environment. We have the Three of Swords. It isn't necessarily you, but it could be you. So the Three of Swords could be the other person in a relationship. They could be going through some painful things in their life, possibly a loss. It could be a breakdown of your relationship, but it could also just be that you're in an environment, let's say like a work situation where things aren't great. So if we look at that sort of ladder example, we see the winds of change in the background on this Three of Swords. We see that this is kind of done. This stag here, it looks like it's been gone for a while. So the Three of Swords is kind of pushing you to take this combination Six of Wands, Six of Swords, move towards success, basically. Six of Swords is mourning, loss, moving on. Six of Wands is success. So by leaving something, by separating yourself from something that doesn't work, you're actually going to allow yourself to move on. The Three of Swords is reminding you probably can do better than what's going on in your environment right now. So you either need to heal yourself or heal that allow that other person to heal. This situation around you is stagnant because there is stagnancy sometimes in the Three of Swords. Then that's your encouragement to push through or to move on, right? Okay. And yes, if you're getting a divorce or if you're quitting a job, most of the cards are pretty good today, but the communication is off a lot. So we'll talk about that in a second, and I'll look at it more in depth when I look at the relationships because we got a lot of people that showed up today. So I feel like there's a lot of cooks in the kitchen. There's a lot of people that have opinions. There's a lot of people that could be affecting your decision. And at the end of the day, it's you. So I want to try to help you get clear on that. I never do this, but since two of these cards kind of stuck together, I was like, all right, there's a clarifying card. Let's look at the card underneath. We have Strength. Strength is reversed. This strength is not being dominated by anyone, but I see the Giant, right? So for some of you, there's this feeling of how can I ever live up to something or someone? My message to you is you're already strong enough. You just have to believe in it. I mentioned this at the end of the Cancer reading. Just like magic, leadership only works if you believe that you can do it. If you don't believe in yourself, nobody's going to believe in you. If you don't love yourself, it's very hard to get that love back as well. So you've got to love yourself and believe in yourself, and then you step into the footsteps of the giants, and you're one of them as well. You're a Titan as well. Some of you are tired. The Strength card in reverse is when you're basically burning the candle at both ends. There's fatigue, and there's an encouragement to take care of you. This is you, Leo. Take care of yourself. This is your representative here. And it's strong, and it's fierce, and there's nobody around it opening up its mouth. So it's your time to take care of yourself, to step into your power, as I said earlier, and get some rest, okay? Get some rest. How interesting that we had the alligator and we have a swamp in this particular Seven of Wands, right? So you're also somewhere in this mix here. I was thinking about this earlier, and there's a really, I forget which deck it is, but we see the sort of lotus blossom, but there's a message that you have to work through the sort of mud, the dirt, the muck, basically, to get to the light. And so for some of you, I feel like you're just starting to push through. We don't see the lotus petal here. We don't see the alligator either. But the message here is that it's time to come up for air. And this is the sun in the background here. So reach up towards that light. I talked about the sunflower in yesterday's reading. Same thing with the lotus. It needs to come through all that mud, all that dirt, and find its way to the light where it opens up and it's beautiful, right? So I feel like there's this great unfurling that needs to happen. The rest will help you get there because you're having a hard time pushing through. Seven of Wands is great. It tells me that you can manage anything that's going on in your life, but you're probably working too hard. You don't have to work so hard with the Seven of Wands. Also, don't take the bait. It's kind of a double message here because thinking about the fact that there could be like an alligator in there, definitely be careful. But the other piece of the Seven of Wands is the defensive mechanism. So traditional Rider-Waite-Smith, we would see the person kind of pushing back at everyone. You don't have to defend yourself. It's different if you're in a lawsuit, but like when it comes to day-to-day things, express yourself, let people ruminate with what's going on and say, well, that's your choice and this is my choice. And, unless you are trying to debate, trying to push or change policy, you don't have to go on the defensive. Let people come to their own sort of conclusion in their own time. And if you need to defend yourself, though, by the way, these are still two very good cards. Strength tells me you have a good case. This tells me you are going to have to push it, but don't get fatigued. Don't let the other person catch you when your guard is down, because that's what they're trying to do. We have another swords card here, the Knight of Swords, and it's reversed. And even though it's not a crocodile, it's an alligator, it's an imaginary beast here, we have this Knight of Swords fighting the beast, right? So for you, it is about sometimes overcoming your own alligator mouth and just saying, like, I'm not going to say that. Someone else might be saying something to incite movement in your life. And in this case, use your words. This is about like a good kind of debating style is to acknowledge what your opposition is saying to you. So you could say, I hear what you're saying. You don't like this. There was a time when I agreed with you, but this experience, and this experience changed my point of view. It seems like you're stuck in a moment. Have you considered these other factors? Because if not, then we really don't have anything to talk about because you're just speaking from opinion and you're not looking at all the data. So find a way to talk your way through to a peaceful resolution, or to just tell the person that they're talking a lot, but there's not a lot coming out and they're saying it. Don't use those words, but just say, I hear what you're saying. I feel like this isn't constructive. Let's meet again when we have some tangible information that we can both look at. There you go. That's the PR version. I studied PR and journalism when I was in school, undergraduate, and then media stuff later. But the PR stuff helps. Sometimes you have to figure out a way to say what you need to say without hurting somebody. So you have a lot of swords reversed, which means you have to get to the point. So brevity and not necessarily being cruel is going to be important this month. Stick to the facts, say what you need, get in and out of a conversation as needed. Don't stick around because I do feel like some people are just not in a great space. This isn't necessarily you. I feel like this is more environmental. So you want to stay in the stronger energy because you have a lot of kings and a lot of knights, a lot of movement. By the way, we're going to look at relationships in a second here, but I also feel like there could be two couples, two groups of friends, because we have two kings and two knights. So it feels to me like there's a couple of differing points of view, the old and the new, and that could also be a challenge for some of you. Let's expand the forecast. We'll get some more information on it. I'll look at relationships in just a couple of sections here, but we're going to start with health first. Your health card is the thinking woman here. So we have divine feminine energy. This is basically, to me, the Empress card. But it's a very cognitive Empress card. It's kind of combining Empress and Queen of Wands together, because if I think of the thinking card in the different suits, it would be the Queen of Wands. She's the boss. She can see things, way past what they actually are. Queen of Pentacles is much more nurturing. Queen of Swords is much more active. Cups is very sensitive and engaging, but this one is the thinking card. So I would say, yeah, this is your time to kind of put on your thinking cap and really figure out what you're trying to do. And the other thing with Queen of Wands or any wands reversed is don't overthink it. So understand your goal, your challenges, and then take action on it. Since we had King of Swords at the center, some of you are thinking too much. Some of you need to do some research, because when I look at this and I see all the books and everything, maybe it's about getting a second opinion. Maybe it's about understanding what's going on in your health just a little bit more, taking a more active role. Also, for those of you that are under great mental stress, mental fatigue is just as, it affects the body. So like when I do a reading like this, I usually need to take a nap in the afternoon because there's a lot of psychic energy that has to channel through me. So anywhere between an hour to an hour and a half, I usually have to nap. And I'm up quite early for all of this. So there is a physical cost for all mental things that we do. So whether it's creativity, like, composing some music, writing a book, channeling so that I could be here, whatever it is that you're doing, it takes a mental and physical toll. So I feel like your physical exhaustion is due to mental fatigue as well. So take care of the mental piece of you. Mental health, talk to someone if you need to. If there's a lot of stress or anxiety, that's your number one priority, and everything else will sort of fall into place after you get that sorted out. Other things with health. There is a heightened sensitivity around the heart space this month. It could be figurative. It could just be, again, healing sadness, which we just talked about. It could also be for those of you that have a family history of, heart disease or high blood pressure and things like that, just paying special attention to that. Standard disclaimer applies. I'm not a doctor, but we're looking at the heart as being a focal point. So do what you can to be heart healthy and work with a professional to figure out what that means for you. Let's see some other messages here that might be relevant for those. Okay, 10 of Wands. Although this is such an atypical illustration, I'll always go back in my head to Rider-Waite-Smith. So 10 of Wands usually would be someone that is carrying a really heavy load, and usually their back is hunched over. So what does your posture look like? We always have the potential to kind of lift ourselves up. Imagine that you're pulling a string through the center and you can just kind of, because usually we do this. So look at the difference between that and this. There's just more authority. It feels better, actually. So take a moment, look at your overall posture and see if you can pull up a little bit. And if you're carrying anything on your back, purse, attaché, any sort of luggage, make sure that you're equally distributing or taking turns, because you might also be causing like curvature or stress points on your back. This can go anywhere from the top of your neck into even like your head, all the way down to your tailbone. So pay special attention to your back. The good news is you've got the 10 of Wands, not the 10 of Swords. So this is something that's avoidable. This is just about balancing that out. Drink a lot of water. We have the 8 of Cups here. That's a good card in general. That's going to help you with detoxification as well. And the 7 of Wands comes through attached to the Strength card to say, this is where you want to use your own body weight if you'd like to work out. So push-ups, sit-ups, Pilates, yoga. You don't have to use any sort of free weights if you don't want to. This is an easier way to make sure that you don't actually end up injuring yourself, because it's harder to do so just using your own weight. So working on strength building basically is what I would say is important here. All right, let's move along to wealth. We have open your heart, Archangel Shamuel, I think you would say. But basically, thank you for removing barriers around my heart. We have a lovely 6-pointed star there, which is great. One thing that I would say for you right now is your heart is like the best sort of compass for what you should be doing. So when we're looking at wealth, which could be career, self-confidence, it could be what you're doing in the community. If you don't feel it anymore, you shouldn't be doing it. Really connect on the heart space to that sort of question, like, is this enough? Does this make sense? What am I getting out of this? The fact that this is reversed can tell me that a lot of you are very sensitive, compassionate, and giving to others. You could be their crutch, you could be their sort of their foundation. And I want you to have that in your life too. You should have other people that you can lean on when you're feeling like you need a break. And this is the month to do it. This is in career. It's reversed, which means you might have a closed mind or a closed heart to a great opportunity. So open your heart, open your mind, and if you feel like it might be something worth doing, give it a go. Sometimes you just have to feel it out and see if that's something that's going to work for you. Someone else may see your potential far beyond the point that you do. So see it from their point of view. See if you can see what they see. It's a lot of C's, but you know what I mean. All right, let me look at the cards quickly and see if there's additional messages for wealth. You know, I really like that you have the King of Pentacles in the past. It doesn't matter if you went to school or just kind of had different sort of training. This shows me, like I said in my channeled message, that you have the building blocks necessary for success. And I like that we got pentacles. When I was reading yesterday for Cancer, there was no pentacles. So you have a lot of pentacles, actually. You have this, and then you also have the Knight of Pentacles here. So I feel like you sort of have a question this month. Should I take a little out of savings? Should I take a little time off? Should I do a little less here so I can invest a little bit more in myself? Follow your heart. That's what that card was saying. If it feels right, I feel like you're going to be all right. And you have a pretty decent resource card in the past here. 10 of Wands is success ultimately, just like 6 of Wands is success. This is completion. This is success. So you're going to successfully complete what you're trying to do, basically. But it might require a physical move or going somewhere different than you thought. Different channel, different conduit. We talked about the fact that there might be someone who just isn't the right point person. So, you're on the right path anyway with that. Let me see if there's anything else for wealth. Okay, yes. If it doesn't matter how much you're getting paid, if you feel like this, it's not worth it. This is your satisfaction, and this is the work environment. If something just feels too heavy, it probably is, and it's probably time to move on. Don't force it. Health is really, really important here, and I would say it's more important than any paycheck would ever be able to give you. All right, now we're going to focus on the very complicated sort of messages around relationships, because there's a lot there. So we have blessings and abundance, beautiful card. Notice also how this particular angel or guide is focusing on heart space. It reminds me a lot of the Four of Pentacles, even though you're going to ask me why. Because in a traditional Four of Pentacles, the main figure is holding that figure almost like that, the coin right in front of their heart. So there can be this feeling of, is this all I'm going to get? Will I be able to love again? Do I deserve that which I'm receiving? So we don't want you to kind of have this mentality of less than. We want you to figure out like, yes, all of this and more, because the message at the bottom of the card is blessings. You brought this blessing upon yourself, and abundance. This is just the tip of the iceberg. This is just the beginning. Do you believe in yourself and value yourself enough to get that more? And I hope you do, and I hope you will. So don't underestimate yourself. Don't sell yourself short. This is so important in business, even though it's coming through in relationships. But relationships are not just, love. It's also working with your boss, working with a coworker, getting a good deal on a house that you're going to buy. Trust yourself. Put that offer out there. You deserve what you're going to get. Okay. Let's look at the other cards here and kind of look at the story that they're telling us. I'm going to turn the camera down for a second. We're going to look a little closer at what's in front of us here. So we have King of Pentacles and King of Swords. This is your past. This is what you're kind of bringing to the present here. So for some of you, there's an old relationship, it feels like. We've got the Six of Wands, which looks like the Six of Swords. So with the King of Pentacles and the King of Swords, what I'm seeing here is a relationship that needs to change. Look at all the little butterflies on this King of Swords. I didn't show that the first time. So there's a lot of butterflies, and I see someone here who's really stuck in their ways. Kind of is, an earth energy is good, but you can sometimes be too grounded. This one's a little too grounded. So I do feel like for some of you, if you're in a relationship, it's a question now of how can we move? You might need some time off. You might need to sort of like take a little bit of space to figure out how can we move this to the next level. And maybe a trip together or apart is what's required with the Eight of Cups here. But it feels like to me that seeing each other and hearing each other from the same point of view is going to be important. Very similar message came through yesterday. If you're looking for love, there's healing that needs to happen. it feels like some of you've already walked through this and decided, I need to move on. And we have the Three of Swords here. In the horizon here, we have now a Knight of Swords, and you're coming through with the Knight of Pentacles. Feels like from this exchange, it's almost like you lost a little bit of confidence, right? Because I would rather it go from a knight to a king. We've gone from kings to knights. So I would say both present and future relationships, really looking at making sure that you still value yourself, that you feel like you didn't lose anything by letting go of a relationship or moving on from a relationship or having something that didn't work out. You can only gain experience and wisdom. And so I want you to see yourself still as the king, and because it's the same energy. Basically, we have King of Swords, King of Pentacles, and then now we have Knight of Pentacles and Knight of Swords. So it's the same two, but now they're just less mature. So, but what I do like about Knights is action. So if you felt in the past like nothing was moving, it feels like the next energy that comes in is younger and there's more movement, and it's coming through with a Knight of Swords energy. So I like that. Feels very direct to me. If you're single and happy, good for you. It feels like right now it's a really good time to focus on confidence building. And for some of you, it might mean that like going back and getting a GED or getting a degree or doing something and achieving it, just kind of like finishing that gives you the confidence you need to get the next thing done. So all of you, I feel like it doesn't matter whether you're looking for love, you're in love, or you don't care. You're supposed to be focusing on healing and personal development this month. That's the key thing. And then this is going to help you feel healthier, and it's going to help you have more energy to be more successful in your life. Relationships almost play a supporting role this month to what you're supposed to be focusing on. Communication has to come together, though. For some of you, it's going to be hard. There may have been things that were said. Three of Swords and Ten of Swords are tough because sometimes it just feels like that wound goes too deep. So you follow what you need to follow on that. I always think that there's room for healing, but you don't necessarily have to go back, or you don't have to go back to what you were. Sometimes it's just healing and understanding why it happened and not letting it happen again, but kind of closing that wound and not beating yourself up. You are deserving of blessings and abundance, and if they're not in the present situation, it's time to move on, okay? Then we have divine feminine energy here, the shot key at the very end here, and a beautiful sort of cosmic. You could either look at this as, it looks to me kind of like a gateway, but if you pull it back, it could also kind of be like an egg, which is like an Ace of Pentacles. But I'm going to look at it sort of as a gateway here. So what this tells me is you're stepping into this new powerful energy of creation. So we're ending on one where you can now take the Pentacles energy here that you've invested in yourself and do something with it. It's growth and it's abundance. We literally got a growth and abundance right before it. Then we see another growth and abundance card here, right? So I feel like this is a really good time for you. And we also have a number on this, which could be associated with like the third part of the month, like around the 19th here. So we're looking at the month of June, but it could be anywhere from May 19th to June 19th. You're going to start to see these shifts entering into your life. Okay. Really good energy. Let's do a mini review. So if you just joined, great. If you didn't, it doesn't matter, because we're still going to get some additional insights as I do the review. And then we're going to move along to the soul path. As I look at the soul path, I am very curious about how you can sort out the relationship energy. And then I kind of want to see what's going to develop with you. How can you step into being really successful? And then we'll do a wild card. So let's move along so we can get into that exciting part. So as I said earlier, your spirit totem is the alligator this month. And it's reminding you it's time to make some bold moves in your life. We have a Six of Wands card here that looks a lot like the Six of Swords, which is showing you that a move equals success. Figurative or symbolic move, but it is time to move. Avoid making any sort of snap judgments, but also snapping at someone in the heat of the moment. Really try to choose your words carefully. And it's interesting that we have that sort of snapping energy here in the Knight of Swords. We have the King of Swords at the center. Feels like there's a lot of defending and standing up for yourself. So it gets easier. The fact that we go from knights to kings, it gets easier. But it does feel like you have to rise above what we see here in the Three of Swords. So you're going to have to really use your words wisely. Your voice and your communication packs quite a punch. So use that to your advantage. I think that what you say, if you choose it wisely, can really put you in a positive trajectory. And I reminded you before that sometimes it just takes one person to stand up to have a lot of other people do the same. Alligators continue growing throughout their whole life. So do all of us, not necessarily in our bodies, but in our energies. So I think that this is a point for you, as we saw here with this sort of investment card, to invest in yourself, going back to school, learning more, pushing yourself in a way that feels really satisfactory. As an apex predator, basically being at the top of its game, you have this sort of like, well, alligators are fine. They're not sort of hunted by others. You will also have fewer obstacles this month. The biggest obstacle that I see for you is just vocalization from other people. So people saying things that trigger you. Don't kind of fall into the web or the trap of taking the bait, because that's kind of what this Seven of Wands reminds me of, is the swamp with the alligator ready to snap. So realize that you don't need to do that. Try again if something didn't work, by all means, because this is your chance to open a door that was previously closed. You have a chance to really do something exciting now. One smile can change a day, someone's day, your day. It also changes the way you feel. If you're really in a bad mood, smiling, even if you have to kind of push to make that smile happen, can really have a positive effect. If you're only focusing on your voice or your words, you're missing an important piece of the equation. So you have to look at nonverbal cues, I should say. This is what I was talking about earlier, to avoid making any sort of snap judgments. The snap judgments may come from word of mouth, from what other people have said, from negative sort of rumors and things like that. Really just make sure that you're trusting your own intuition and that it's grounded in something real. Be careful of contracts this month. Get a lawyer to look at it, look at the fine print, ask questions. Some things may end up contractually binding you for a longer period than you want. There may also be some things that you've signed up for a free trial and all of a sudden they're going to start charging you, or they're going to start charging you more. Time to cancel, time to move on if you don't want to do that. Don't buy something sight unseen. You need to make sure that you know what you're getting into. Make sure that there are return or sort of escape clauses built into the policy so that you're not trapped. For property, if something seems like it's too good to be true, probably is, get a good inspector to take a look at it. Preventative maintenance across the board, when we're looking at health, finance, your car, your house, little bit of work now saves a lot of work later. There's a reunion of sorts that is happening. It really felt like it was more for closure. We did get 8 of Cups versus 6 of Cups. So I agree with what was written here, which is really that it's a chance to sort of, get closure and understand what you want to do. So you can decide if you want to focus more on that or let it go. I think for some of you, it's just saying what you need to say and moving on. As always, you can choose if you want to reconnect or if you want to do something else. The heart came up 3 times here. It comes up here and it comes up here. So follow your heart. If you're investing too much or it hurts too much to do something, again, don't do it. You need to walk the walk. So do others. It's about accountability. Trust what you see. Trust the track record. Actions speak louder than words, for sure. And don't let someone talk you into something that you don't want to do or out of something that you need to do. I saw you stepping into the footsteps of a giant, which tells me that you've maybe got big shoes to fill, but you've got what it takes. And we saw that here with the King of Pentacles in the deep past. You have all those requisite pieces, and don't let fear hold you back, okay? Feels like you've already made a decision or know what you need to do. It's really a question now of accepting that path in front of you. Are you ready to travel this path? I hope you are. Speak your mind, but don't say too much. It's a gentle sort of line that a fine line that you have to walk with the King of Swords, knowing just how much to say and how much not to. It feels like many of you are being presented with an opportunity to move, to travel, to try something new. And I think it's worth giving it a shot, because when we looked at wealth, it was saying, like, open your heart, open your mind as well. This could be a good thing, but it has to feel good for you. Don't do something that you're not ready for ever, really. I mean, but if you could kind of look at what the growth opportunity is and it's just fear, then you might want to second guess why that fear is holding you back. Take the bull by the horns here with the King of Pentacles. You've done the work that you need to, so that's why I'm saying I feel like you're ready for this opportunity. I also feel like, again, I'm not a financial advisor, but just looking at resource allocation, it feels like you can invest in yourself this month. You've done a lot for others. You've done a lot to get where you're at. You deserve a chance to sort of like just do something for you, okay? And the Hierophant here, we have the chance to sort of look at it from a different perspective. This could ostensibly be that bull once it's kind of seen the bigger picture, because the reversal of this and the fact that it's kind of an astral version of that is saying, yeah, I'm not so stubborn anymore. You might be dealing with the Taurus in your life as well that's just having a hard time seeing it from your point of view. Could be another earth sign as well, Capricorn, whatever. But Taurus is what I'm seeing with this. So take your time and try not to change someone's mind overnight. I feel like sometimes it takes persistence here. 10 of Wands, again, moving on. Many of you are ready for the next phase. This is moving out, moving on, moving up. I like the 10 of Wands. Watch how you're carrying things when we talked about health to make sure that you're not straining your back or your neck. 8 of Cups, there's a door that's open. Do you want it to be open? If not, put some closure on a situation. Otherwise, there's a chance to come back, and this could bode well if you need to take a break and you don't want to quit, for instance, something or even a relationship without fully kind of exploring all possibilities. Investing in yourself, but also a warning here with the Knight of Pentacles reverse that you could get too stuck in your head. So make sure that you're talking and listening. Healing is necessary. It's the most important thing. There's some stuff going on around you. So whether it's your partner, your family, or your work environment, this needs to improve. That's your main focus here, is the 3 of Swords. How can I diffuse the situation? Because I feel like it's also having an effect on your health with the Strength card reverse and then the 7 of Wands. Push through and make health a priority however you can. It's hard, trust me, I know, especially if you're working a couple of jobs, but find a way to try to make this more of a priority. And finally, taking action. That's really what this Knight of Swords is about. And even if something seems like it's overwhelming, you still have to make a stand, you still have to try, and you might be surprised by the outcome. Sometimes people don't expect to be challenged. And when you have a really good, well-founded argument or point of view, it's sort of like, I have no choice but to listen to. You can shut someone down with just having all the facts. So that's the way to do it. It's not about meeting them in volume or meeting them energetically on a lower level. It's really about trying to just say something that's incontrovertible, that cannot be disputed. Don't overthink things this month, but do take some time to figure out what you want to do. I think there's a fine balance here. Again, it's kind of like Queen of Wands reverse. So know yourself, know what you need to do, get a second opinion if you need to, but don't get too stuck in your mind. Other messages with health, focusing on being happier and healing the wounds, possibly from a breakup, possibly from a toxic work environment. Takes time. Sometimes it takes as much time to heal as you did, kind of like as you put into it, or at least a half-life of that. It's going to take at least half that amount of time to feel better. So give yourself some time to heal in the heart space. Focus on being kind to the heart in general, in diet and in exercise, working with a professional to make those decisions as always. We talked about making sure that your posture and that whatever you're carrying on your back is appropriate and is not kind of straining you in any way, shape, or form. Drinking enough water is really important as well. Okay. And then just kind of working on strength building and training by just using your body, I think is really good here. With wealth, change, it could be a change of heart and opening your heart. What we saw here with the love card is that there's kind of a connection here between that. So trusting your heart, opening your heart, believing in yourself, and believing that you can receive more. It's going to be important in both career and in relationships. And with career, again, it feels like some of you might be deciding to take a different role. Maybe you don't want the leadership position. Maybe you want to do something more in the trenches. Maybe you're going to take something that doesn't have as big of a title, but challenges you more and is less sort of dissatisfactory. So that's good if you want to kind of push yourself and grow and you see growth potential. Sometimes if you're doing your own business, a startup, you're not going to have, you can call yourself a CEO, but you're really also the producer, the director, the designer, you're everything. So this could also indicate that kind of move happening. So it feels like there's some nice changes there. In relationships, I see a lot of cooks in the kitchen. And I also see a weird development happening here where I don't want you to feel like you've lost something. You can only gain even from a challenging experience. If you're looking for love, I see a King of Swords coming through towards, the next month or two, but it does feel like this person's really really outspoken. So that needs to be something that you're comfortable with. If you're single and happy, it's good because I feel like there's a lot of growth and development that wants to happen. And we talked about existing relationships as making sure that communication doesn't breakdown. And finally, ultimately, we're ending with Shakti energy, which is divine feminine, the ability to start to create something new. You're never done growing. That's basically what this card is showing as well. All right, let's move along and get into the soul path here. I'm glad that we got pentacles. I'm glad that we got some relationship messages. I want to see how we can work on the Three of Swords and then all of the Knight of Swords reverse, because that shows me that the communication could be enhanced and healing needs to happen. So what can you say or what can you do to make sure that you're traveling in that new direction, in that right direction that we saw with this card? All right, so let's give the cards a shuffle and see what's the bigger message or messages around communication and relationships in your life. All right, we have the Knight of Wands in reverse. This is a really interesting one because if we look closely, it's almost like he's being lifted up by the vines or the energy there beneath him. So your thoughts can elevate. They can also push down a situation. They can depress a situation. So sometimes when I connect with loved ones who have passed or guides, I can feel the energy of them. And I've had a relative that passed before where they came to me and it almost felt like I was suffocating because they often had really dense or heavy thoughts, a little bit of depression actually. So I felt the suffocating energy of their thoughts. And I prayed and meditated. Since then, it's improved. But sometimes I would just feel that sense of heaviness. So lighten the thoughts, lighten the energy, because it does feel like when you're thinking about the communication, there's this feeling of how am I going to do this? Or this is going to be harder than I thought. Why not plant the seed that I'm ready for this and it's going to be easier? This person is going to react better than I thought. When a couple of times I've had to quit jobs. And when I do it, I usually try to do so with dignity and grace. So the last time I quit, I really wanted to make it about personal growth because that ultimately what it was. I didn't want my boss to feel like there was a betrayal or anything like that. So I meditated on it and I basically put out to the universe, please let me leave with dignity and with grace. This is about my own growth and happiness. And I think you guys have heard it if you've listened to some of my readings. But before I even said what I needed to say, they knew that I was quitting because I've been meditating on it so much for that week. And I've been thinking about how great the conversation was going to be and that I was ready and I wanted it to go really well, that they'd already received the download. And they said, don't tell me you're quitting. And I said, yes, I am. And I said, why? And they were really supportive and happy. It was easy. The first thing that I thought is, oh my God, how am I going to do this? That was the fear months before. But as I got closer to the date that I'd circled on my calendar, I just realized, no, I got to do this. You can use this in any aspect of your life. Meditate on the positive energy around it, lighten it up so that you can feel, if I can keep the card in my hands, it's so light now that it won't stay, so that you can feel elevated by your thoughts and other people are elevated by it. They're going to meet you at your level. But if you go lower or if you push it down or if you're afraid of it, then you start to invite in that Three of Swords energy, which we want to diffuse. Okay? So super important. And I think that's going to be key. All right. Let's look at the next question here. So we've got King of Wands reversed. What I want to look at next is just overall growth in general in your life. Let's see how you can get to the next level, whether it's relationship or other things in your life. What is it that you can do to really reach your highest potential? And yeah, I see some messages about links. You can't put links in chat. That's just a Google thing. All right. All right. Okay, you got two. One flew out. I'm going to look at the one that I pulled and the other one that flew out. All right, so Four of Swords. Moving on. It's a gentle release with the Four of Swords. Of all the different morning cards, this is probably the easiest. Death card is very clear. There's death, there's movement, there's transformation. Six of Swords requires an active energy on your part. Four of Swords for you is about feeling at ease with something, also sleeping. Please get some rest. Please take care of yourself. So if you are burning the candle at both ends, this of course is the card of sleep, but it's also putting to rest something. So I feel like it's finally time and you're finally going to be able to put something to rest, okay? So that's important. The next piece here is the Seven of Cups. With the Seven of Cups here, this is really great. This is about once you let go of something, you can see it from a different perspective. You can start to open up and see the different. This is the Dreamer card, by the way. Because we're looking at this here in your soul path, I'm not going to really read the reverse side of this or the warning, which is don't kind of like get lost in your head. I feel like I want to encourage you to dream right now when I look at this one. Allow yourself to go out on a limb and see what's possible. If something held you back before, it's in the past, put it in the past. Make peace with it. Instead, start to focus on all the possibilities. This card flew out of the deck. This deck has a lot of energy in it today. So you are really ripe with ideas right now. And this is a good time to tap into that and to develop some of those ideas a little bit, right? So I think that's key. Let's do a wild card next, just to see if I missed anything. And then after the meditation, you can psychically ask me a question and I'll pull an extra card at the end. Let's focus first on the wild card and see the message that might be coming through. We have the Seven of Pentacles. So this is a card of recovery and growth, but growth after a period of challenges in your life. So if there's been anything that's been going on where you just feel like for some reason, gosh, why is this happening to me? There was a lesson to be learned. And what we've seen here is that you've integrated that lesson. So let's move forward. Seven of Pentacles can also be a temptation that comes through to test to make sure that you're ready for the next level. After this is Eight of Pentacles, which is growth, which is learning. After that is Nine of Pentacles, which is independence, self-sufficiency, and abundance. And then 10 of Pentacles, which is awesome, which is basically you accomplishing your goals. So you're very close. You're actually trending in the right direction, but there could be one more little test that's coming through that wants to make sure that you have learned your lessons. Also, it's a patience card. The snail comes through in the Nine of Pentacles, but there's no reason to realize or believe that it wouldn't somehow be in this garden here. So in order to get there, you have to take your time. It took a while to get where you were. It takes a while to get where you want to be, right? Okay. So if we quickly review this, a nice overarching message. Your thoughts can elevate. They can also push down. Allow them to be an elevation instead. It is the perfect time to release and to let go. You also need to properly take care of your own sort of energy. Make sure that you're sleeping enough. Make sure that you are resting enough. Dreams may also yield ideas. A lot of my messages come through meditations and dreams and visions. So you might be getting yours in dreams as well. I did a video on that. It's on my main page. Check it out. It's under intuitive development. And then finally, I see recovery here. Recovery after a period where you were feeling sort of challenged, like, can I do this? Am I going to be okay? And ultimately, the Seven of Pentacles is a yes. You just have to take your time and make smart decisions. The other thing is with the Seven of Pentacles, if there's anything that you owe, spend some time figuring out how to repay obligations, debts, and promises, because there's a sort of balancing energy that happens naturally in the 6 and has already been accomplished by the 8, but in the 7, it's in the middle. So sometimes we can kind of stretch ourselves too far. So make sure that you're paying off your bills and things like that and not overextending yourself too much. All right. And because you got a 7 of Pentacles and a 7 of Wands, the only thing that's missing from this, is and you got 7 of Cups too. It's 7 of Swords. So the 7 of Swords is accountability. So I just want you to stay accountable because we got almost every other 7 except that. Let's meditate quickly. And while I'm doing that, think about any other questions that you might have. And we'll then take a look at that as we wrap up the meditation. Couple of quick notes as we get ready for everything here. If you like what you've seen here, please consider hitting the like button. You only need to do that once per video. If you've never subscribed, please consider subscribing because it helps with discovery. Again, it's just, you might not always be able to do this or see this on the live, but afterwards it should be there. And hitting the bell icon will allow you to receive updates in the future. I'd also love you to join me on social media if you haven't already. And just a quick note, all the links and everything that I discuss is on my website. I pinned that link at the top, so you can click that for all this information. And the easiest way to contact me or to follow me is through social media. I don't really allow for like personal messages, but this is how you can connect with me here. So I saw some questions about that. It's in chat. But if you want to get information and updates about what's coming through, you can follow me on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. And that's a great way to know what I'm reading that day. And you can actually click the links there. I'm Nicholas Ashbaugh on most social media platforms, everything on this, plus also Pinterest. And then I'm N Ashbaugh on Twitter. And Twitter's great because I will put recaps and reminders there as well. Okay, let's meditate next. As I'm looking at all of this, I want to work on the elevation of thoughts. So I really liked what we were seeing here with, not this one, but with, here we go. Yes, with the Knight of Wands here. So his ability to kind of elevate or to levitate. So we're going to imagine that we can kind of do that like a monk. We're going to meditate and see ourselves floating and see the world from a different perspective and open up to maybe how to see what the next path should be, since we have the Traveler card here coming through for you. All right, so we're going to meditate now. Close your eyes. This will take about 2 minutes, and then I'll answer the final question afterwards. Close your eyes, and let's take a moment to tune into the body first. So sometimes we get so caught up in doing everything, even like rushing into a meditation, that we don't take a moment to just be kind to our body. So focus on your posture, sit up tall for a moment, take a nice deep breath and inhale. And on the exhale, let go of any tension that you might be holding into your body. Put your feet on the ground and really feel the connection to the ground. Maybe you're feeling, if you're in an apartment, you can feel the vibration of someone walking by. If you are outside, you can feel the warmth of the sunlight as it touches the earth. Wherever you are, feel the sensation of being connected to the earth. And if you can't somehow touch the ground, touch a table or touch your chair, and just feel like you are safe. You are planted on this planet in this moment in time, because we're going to go out of body a little bit. You might also want to, I don't have my grounding stone with me that I normally do. You can use anything that you have that's darker colored for stones if you're going to meditate. You can also use a rock. A standard rock from outside is fine, and hold that in your hands while we meditate. So just to feel that you're connected to this planet. And now let's go within and let's start with the heart space. I want you to go into your heart, and if there's anyone or anything that you think about as you go into that space, acknowledge that. If it's a good feeling, send a blessing towards them. If it's something you want to release, imagine in this moment that your heart is starting to shine like a little tiny star, and it's going to melt away the connections that it doesn't need. It's going to enhance the ones that it does, but it's going to melt away all of those sort of noisy connections where people get in your head, they get in your energy, and they make you feel hesitation or less than, or a question like, can I do this? Should I do this? Etc. We don't have time or space for that anymore, and that's going to start to melt away. And as you start to feel this warmth and radiance in your heart space, I want you to move the energy up into your mind and feel that you're, first of all, blessing your entire body with this golden light, the light of the sun. For some reason, that's the energy that I'm seeing in your heart. And see the sun above you in a single ray of light shining. And I want you to connect with that light. The light, first of all, is encompassing your body and keeping you safe. And you can travel through that light beam as well. So take a moment now to allow your higher self to leave your body. You can see a cord connecting if you're afraid of that or whatever, but otherwise just allow yourself to float up in the beam of light towards the sun and see yourself kind of levitating, your astral body levitating just a few feet if you want to. If you want to go a little higher, you can. You can imagine yourself being above the forest, and looking down and looking at all the path around you. That's fine too. But see a connection to the body and stay in that energy of the light, stay in that ray of light. So as you're in this higher energy, I want you to imagine that your thoughts get an upgrade. Any fear, doubt, or uncertainty falls away. Possibilities start to enter in, and you can see things more clearly now. There's no clouds, there's no rain. It's just you in this ray of light going as high as you need to see the path that you need to take. As we meditate, allow your thoughts to continue to go higher, and we'll re-meet afterwards and talk about what you saw. Take a deep breath. With your eyes closed, reach your arms out to the sides. Imagine that in your meditation, you're spreading your wings. And allow yourself to enjoy this moment for a second. If you want to fly around a little bit, you can. But if you're ready to come back into your body, just imagine that you are going to float down as light as a feather, kind of gliding, if you've ever seen birds do that, just towards the crown chakra, re-entering into your body. But then stretch your arms out and imagine that you have these sort of virtual wings that are still attached to you, allowing you now to move with more speed, with also the sort of lightness of being and lightness of thought that perhaps you were lacking before we began the meditation. Rub your hands together, feeling that you're back in your body. Put your left hand on your heart, your right hand on top of that. For any of you that are going through a painful situation in your life, allow this energy to heal the heart space, to seal off any sort of openings that might be there and just allow you to be whole. You always were, but there might have been the illusion that you were not. So just feel whole again. Feel that there's this brightness in your heart, this brightness in your mind, and it's going to light up all the other energetic points in your body. All right, at this point, we're going to look at the final card. I would like you to think of something that I didn't cover. Don't type it, just think it, and send it to me. What's on your mind? What do you want me to look at? What do you need clarity on? If it's a yes, no, I'll read it as a yes, no, but I'll also go a few layers deeper and see what else comes through. So psychically send the message, and this will give you the clarity that you need. Okay, so as a yes, no, this is a yes. We have the 9 of Cups here, 9 of Chalices. This is a celebratory card. 3 of Cups and 9 of Cups are both really great cards for good news. It's a good news card. What we also see here is it's almost like a rainbow. If you look really close, you can see the cups right there. We see like rainbow of light. It's kind of like that's the closest one to the sun. Sun is the ego. So I feel like for many of you, when you know yourself, when you're working on that path that you need to be on, good things are on the horizon for you. And if you're looking for, should I do it? It looks pretty good. The one thing that I would caution with 9 of Cups, it's upright, so it's fairly positive, but 9 of Cups always has a little bit of an asterisk by it, which says, don't allow your emotions to get you carried away and doing something that doesn't make sense. Also, keep your wits about you. So you definitely don't want to make a decision when you're inebriated or under the influence of anything. And 9 of Cups can definitely indicate that you've been partying or having a good time. So clear mind, clear decisions, but celebrate the successes. Overwhelmingly, 9 of Cups is a pretty good card. It's saying you're looking at the sunny side of things and you're ready for more. So there's a little bit of work to do for the 10th cup to come in. A lot of times it's just letting go a little bit and being patient and not going to extremes, because you've already done enough good work for you to get the 9 of Cups. I would say to stick with it. It's just basically thinking like what we saw here with the abundance one. It's blessings and abundance, all this and more. Let's get that 10th cup in there. You don't need someone else in the equation to be happy, to be complete. And that's definitely one of the messages here. We see as just one person, but a lot to be happy about and a lot to be happy for. And the minute you stop worrying about that other person, that's when they come in, for those of you that are looking for someone or something. So overall, I really like the 9 of Cups. It was upright. So be happy, look at the positive stuff. Don't let your emotions get you in a weird place. And we all go there sometimes. So talk to someone if you need to, okay? That is it for today. I hope you enjoyed it, Leo. This is Monday. I'll be back again on Thursday and Friday. My schedule's pretty predictable. I'm on almost every Sunday and Monday and Thursday and Friday. Occasionally I have extra readings or special videos. I got the dates ready today so I would remember. We do have some collectives coming up. So let me give you the links to those while I am thinking about it. So the first collective is actually coming up this weekend. It's my mid-month collective, and you can join me on Sunday, May 16th at 9 a.m. And then I have a couple of special ones. I'm going to give you the end-of-month collective, which is going to be the 31st. And then I'm going to do a bonus one, and I may talk to some of my channel members and Patreon supporters about the bonus one. So those are some fun ones for everybody to look at. And you can always go to my website to get the full schedule of past, present, and future readings. I update the links on the current month's page as I start to program the links in. So I try to give the next 3 or 4 so you can set a reminder if you'd like to. I'm a little late on the newsletter. We're going to do a mid-month one this month, but if you'd ever like to join the newsletter, you can do it there. And let me see if I missed anything. I think I hit most of it. Maria was kind enough to put a link to my book. For those of you that enjoy reading and don't mind a longer book, I actually saw that as one of the reviews, and yes, it's a longer book. It's science fiction and fantasy, much like Lord of the Rings are doing. This is a heavier read. But if you like that kind of deep fantasy or sci-fi, then my book, The Luminous Ones, is available pretty much at any bookstore online. So you can look at my website for links, and it's a great way to give back and also to get something if you'd like to. I mentioned my social media links. Here they all are. They're also on my website. You can just click on social media on the main navigation and get all of these links. Just a reminder, I'm never going to send an invite or ask for money or do anything in direct messages online. This is the way we talk. And so if anybody's doing that in the comments, it's not me, and you can send me a report through my website. Finally, if you've stuck around and you've enjoyed this and you haven't hit subscribe, please do it right now. Like I said, 70% of the people that watch don't do it, so let's change that. Help some new people discover it, hit the thumbs up, and leave a comment when this is on replay so that we can spread the good word, right? Thank you so much, everybody. I appreciate your time and your energy, and I hope you have a fantastic week ahead. Feel free to join me for any reading, anytime. Like I said, the beginning portion always contains messages that can help anybody that shows up, and show up for the collective on Sunday. It would be great to see you. All right. Thanks again to Maria, who helped me moderate today, and everyone here for showing up. And if you'd like to, you can still do a super chat or super sticker. Otherwise, there is that applaud feature on replay. Thanks, everyone. Have a good day. See you again later this week. Bye-bye.